What does it do, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Scotty Says. I'm your host, and well, we all saw it a million times, forward and backward in slow motion. And so tonight's episode is simply entitled The Slapping. Why? The real reasons why Will Smith smacked the snot out of Chris Rock on live international television at the Oscars in Hollywood. And we're going to dig in now. We're going to dig deep. We're going to touch on deeper issues, larger issues like self-hate and disrespect and bullying and the perseverance of slave culture in the African American community. I'm going to talk about the concept of defending the honor of women and knowing when to shut up and mental wellness. So we're gonna go in, and I want you to buckle up, get ready for the ride. First, I want to, in full disclosure, I didn't see the Oscars live. In fact, in past years, I would, if I wouldn't watch it live, I would tape it. But this particular year, I didn't even tape it. And as it turned out, after a long time of not going out, it just so happened a reggae band that I really enjoyed hearing was playing at a venue at or about the same time, and I really forgot the Oscars were even on. And so I did something that I had not done since the pandemic, really. I went to a bar to hear a band play. And I did. I got wine my waist, and I had a couple Guinness. And it was a nice, I kept stepping outside, But while I was doing that, ugly history was being made. So just as I get home, shout out to my son. He said, "Dad, have you seen the situation?" I'm like, The Rock, what? No, I just, I just came in with my dinner, and he said, "Check it out." So I said, "Yeah, I'm going to eat my dinner." And then I thought, well, what is he talking about? Let me check it out. And I did. I sent him the the big wide eyes and the laughing, crying emoji and the OMG and wow, 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 all of it. And I did. I'll admit I did. I laughed and made a couple of jokes. I'll admit I did. And the one joke I stand by is, you remember when Chris Rock said the tiger didn't go crazy, the tiger went tiger? Chris Rock should have went tiger. But the more I saw it, the more they replayed it, just the uglier and more despicable it became. It grew in its, and it was awful to begin with, but initially it was kind of shocking and, whoa, that kind of thing. But I'm not in the habit of saying that I feel sympathy for multimillionaires, okay? And I'm certain they feel none for me, and, I've been in need of it now. But I felt sorry for him, Chris Rock. And every time it seemed to me that I watched the replay, it just got worse and worse. And so, we have to talk about Will and Jada and Chris. And then beyond that, the black community and its reaction. And then beyond that, the popular reaction, because Will Smith is a very popular, even more so than Chris Rock, iconic figure in the world. He saved the world against them aliens. I remember him and Goldblum. Listen. No one came out looking good. I've heard people say, well, Chris Rock came out looking like the bigger person. No, not in my opinion. They both lost. Chris Rock was marred publicly. He was forever memed. I've seen the cartoon, the caricature where they freeze frame. It's Will Smith coming down with the follow through after the slap, and Chris Rock's head spinning around, and it does. It looks like that Batman cartoon. Just awful. That he felt the freedom, that he felt the boldness to walk up there in that moment and do that. To me, speaks of mental illness. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. It was awful. It's humiliating for Chris Rock. No question about it. And he, for all the 20, 30 years of public career, all the accolades and the money and the various, the comedy specials and the TV shows. I mean, this guy he reached a level, and I'm not saying that as though he passed away, but I'm just saying his level was at a height few could approach. And yet, even at this stage, that height, that level of accomplishment and success, no one could protect him from the bully. And so he was publicly humiliated in a very base way. It's a shame that Will Smith did that to him, to that man. And to, again, if Will Smith, felt that infuriated to strike Chris Rock, to at least wait until they got off stage and go back there and find him and strike him and let it be known and let him feel the sting of it. But it would only be in legend. People would say it, it would be rumored, but the media would have to ask, did it happen? Kind of like with Kobe and Shaq. Pretty much everybody knows Shaq smacked Kobe, but there's no footage of it. Did it happen? Didn't it happen? Well, who's to say? Although Shaq brags about how he would hit teammates if something wasn't going right. So he doesn't really hide it. My point is, handle it that way if you must. And that would be wrong. Because as has been said by some, and I agree, the G.I. Jane joke was mild. It was not a harsh one. Now, of course, if you bald as a woman, I understand. They keep saying, oh, you don't understand. You don't understand what it's like if a woman has to go bald. Well, I know about baldness. Okay. I know that shaving the head. I know that. But I get it. For a woman, it's different. It's, and a lot of them they just pop on something. Boop. But she doesn't want to pop it on. She wants to go with the, as they used to say back in the day, the Covadis. So now you got a bald woman parading around who, unfortunately, has spent a good amount of time over the last 2 or 3 years berating you, her husband, in the media. Your own wife. So, against that backdrop, you show up at the Oscars and sit front row, and the man makes a benign joke about G.I. Jane, and you deem it appropriate to go up there and do that to him? The entitlement, I guess, is a word I want to use, because clearly you felt that you were going to face no repercussions. And that is another key aspect of the bullying syndrome. You see, the bully chooses his victim. Okay? The bully isn't just randomly going around poking people in the chest and talking crazy to people. No, 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 no. The bully is carefully deciding, who can I do that to who won't be able to retaliate sufficiently, who won't even have maybe the will to. That's who I want to do this to. It's not just the size, and the size is a big part of it. And again, there's so many layers to it. But just on the size issue, Chris Rock, by all accounts, 5'9" or so, 165 or so. That's slight. 57 years old, up in years, not a fighter. Will Smith, on the other hand, 6'2" 220-ish. He trained and I thought that role should have won him an Oscar, playing Ali. He was extraordinary. That was the role where I said, no, this dude really can't act. He was good in there. But he had to train, so he's trained in fighting. So big dude, trained in fighting. He kept in shape. He's 4 years younger than Rock. So yes, there's the disadvantage, the size. But see, that's the thing. That's what the bully does. Now, the bully will, if the bully perceives that a smaller guy will try to knock his block off, the bully will pass him by. The bully will say, yeah, I could, but why even risk it? So the bully is not going to pick the smaller guy that looks like he just might want to go ahead and strike the bully back. No, the bully is going to scan and search and, this one. This one won't do anything. This one is the perfect victim. And I believe Will Smith, and he has to know Chris Rock, and I don't know to what extent they know each other, but to be in the business as long as both of them have been, they have to know each other. And I'm sure over time, Will Smith has perceived, Chris Rock ain't gonna. If I smack the shit out of Chris Rock, he ain't gonna do nothing. He perceived that, I'm sure, long ago. And he was right. And so men generally know to be careful what they say and always be prepared to back up their words with action or stay quiet. That's sort of like a given with men. If you're going to be running off at the mouth, be prepared to back it up with the hands. Otherwise, be more humble. And so, on that level of a superstar comedian, at the Oscars no less, he feels protected by the moment, the environment. That even if he makes a little bit of a joke, nothing horrific, but a little bit of a joke, that there's absolutely no risk. And so you saw that as Will Smith strolled up to him, Chris Rock just had a big grin on his face and stuck his face out like, oh boy, he just left it out there. And I think that's one of the big reasons why a lot of people thought it might not have been real. At the very first time I saw it, I had to play it back again. Like, wait, was that real? But the sound. I know the sound man who had Chris Rock mic'd. I know he was sitting backstage, and when Will Smith struck Chris Rock, I know the sound man must have been like, take these off. Because it sounded like a thunderclap. And that's how I was like, no, that wasn't, no, because the other hand, he didn't have it up to make that was hand to face contact there. And so, the bully understood that this particular victim would not retaliate and he would face no repercussions, and he could take out some aggression, some frustration. He's been feeling a lot. See, that's the other thing is misplaced aggression. See, you're stressed because of this one's been saying this and that one's been saying that. And you're mad. Your woman is rowdy. Your woman is unruly, running all around, running off at the mouth and sleeping with this one and all of this stuff. And saying these horrible things about her husband, about their sex life, all these things. And see, here's the thing for me, personally. I don't want to know. I don't want to know your personal business. I really don't. I don't want to know how you and Will are in your private moments. Keep that private. Be respectable. No, you want to talk. Talk. Tell it all. This is what I think. And he don't this me, and I don't that, this and that. Okay, and so the man is hearing all these things, and now, bear in mind, now people are making jokes. Oh, jokes aplenty about them, about Will, about Jada, jokes. But what are you gonna do? Just take it all. But now, here's the perfect, what's the word? Scapegoat. The perfect scapegoat. This slight older gentleman there making a little ha-ha at you and her expense. And why? What better way to show the whole wide world? Because he said, I understand. I haven't read the book, but I understand now. I've heard that he said himself that he's always felt like a coward. He's got something he wants to prove. You see the psychological thing, right? And you want to prove it, but you don't want to prove it against someone who might expose you. So I ask you, just, in the general sense, do you think that Will Smith would have struck any of these other men that I'm going to name out for you? Do you think, and the reason I'll name these couple of guys is because they specifically have said things that were, let's say, digs at Will Smith and or Jada. George Clooney. He loves to talk, George Clooney, and he's like glib and suave, and he's making his little funnies. And he said a few little rib shots about how could Jada put up with Will. Do you remember this? Do you think that Will Smith would ever smack George Clooney? Do you think Will Smith would ever, let's say Ricky Gervais, let's just switch out Ricky Gervais for Chris Rock. Do you think that Will Smith would walk up onto the stage and smack the snot out of Ricky Gervais for a G.I. Jane joke? Do you? Now, I bring up these two guys because neither of these are very big guys. They're probably, Ricky Gervais and the other gentleman, George Clooney, are probably 5'9" or 10, just like Chris Rock. Do you think Will Smith would get up out of his seat and smack them? I don't believe so. But that leads to another issue. We'll get back to that. Do you think Will Smith, let's talk about another option. Do you think Will Smith would have smacked 50 Cent? Because 50 has said many a disrespectful thing about Will and Jada, about blowing backs out and all this kind of business. Okay? Do you think he would smack the snot out of 50 Cent? Do you? LL hosts a lot of awards and makes little funnies. Do you think, well, maybe these guys wouldn't say that. Maybe. But my point is, do you think Will Smith would feel entitled enough to do it? Because I don't. Because with those last gentlemen, they're about the same size or bigger than Will. And they also probably have enough of a kind of a will, a killer instinct. Just the littlest provocation might bring out some ferocity in them. Tiger. And a bully would pick up on that and would be like, nah, I better laugh it off and say, what's wrong, baby? Later. Not go and make a move, a disgustingly awful move like that. Now, let me say a couple things about Chris Rock, and it's only a couple of things because Chris Rock, in my mind, was the victim in this situation, even though he made the G.I. Jane joke. And I've heard a lot of people say, well, he made the G.I. Jane joke. Okay. That doesn't justify the man walking up out of his seat and smacking the snot out of him at the Oscars. It just doesn't. Okay? But for Chris Rock, man, you cannot go Martin Luther King in that moment. Now, I know I've been pleasantly surprised that a few people I know have said no, and some I didn't, have said no, he did the right thing. Black people. And I predicted in the moment that a large amount of the black community, we'll talk about them in a minute, would find it applause-worthy, would find it humorous, would find it endearing. And many have. Many have. But there has been a significant enough number of folks that I've heard at least say that it under no circumstances is that justified. And I agree with that 100%. Chris Rock had an issue in childhood, I've learned, with being bullied terribly. He's talked about first from black kids, then white kids. And so he just was always smallish and picked on. And for him to reach the level he reached, and then for this still to happen to him, it makes me sad for him. You must protect yourself. You have a right to retaliate and defend yourself. And if anybody put their hands on you in that manner, you must make them feel something. And wherever that is, that's just where it is. The White House, a space colony, on a sub, under the ocean, it doesn't matter. Okay? I'm like, well, it's the Oscars. I don't give a damn. He put his hands on me in an inappropriate way at the Oscars. So I had to throw 2 or 3. Maybe I missed. Maybe it ended up backfiring and you take it worse. But you must show a willingness. Chris, you would have had a right. You would have been within your right to turn the Oscars out right then and there. Turn it out. Run from behind. Jump like Flying Tiger. Dive on his back. Fall out into the audience on Lupita. Yes. Roll around. Throw wildly. Yes. And then get back up and straighten your bow tie and say, now, the category for best documentary. That's how you do that. And then you sue the hell out of everybody. Where was the protection from the Oscars? And I'm suing the man. You got to sue. And this is my recommendation to Chris Rock. Sue him civilly for everything you can get. If you can get a couple $100 million, get it. Take him for all you can get out of him. And if you got $250 million, I'd say, well, you deserve it. So don't let me hear this bigger man bullshit about you gonna just let it ride. No, sir. Get you the best. And I'm sure the civil attorneys are lining up. It's all captured on video. The world are your witnesses. Okay? Sue him, Chris. Wow. Will Smith knew who he could get away with this with. He identified that some time ago, I'm sure. And as it turned out, he was right. And so, Chris Rock is now forever marred. His name, his likeness, it's all a forever meme. A joke. A punchline. Literally, a punchline. Forevermore. Somewhere at his funeral, when he dies, when they put him in the ground, somewhere, somebody will be saying, Mr. Rock passed today, and they'll be showing it. Sad. Of course, now the same applies for Will Smith as well. So let's turn our attention back to Will Smith. When Chris Rock made the joke, cameras show Will Smith laughing. They show Jada rolling her eyes. And then the camera cuts away. And there seems to be no footage of the actual moment, because it must have been very fast, because the camera cuts away, it's back to Chris Rock, and he's saying, oh, that wasn't a bad one. And he starts to move on, and then he says, uh-oh. And just that fast, apparently, Big Willie was walking up there. So somewhere between him laughing and her rolling her eyes, a signal was sent. And see, that's why I think women love it so much. Because they lust for that kind of power. See, a man is a woman's avatar in the world. A puppeteer controls her puppet, you see. Mind control, no strings. Strings are messy. And so with signals, visual cues, gestures, I wish there would have been video footage of it. Because I imagine maybe like, one of those old characters like Renfield or something. Maybe she was like, get it. Or maybe it was just subtle, like with the eyes and a little bit of the head, He was laughing. She looked over at him. And maybe she gave him one of these. Right? And immediately, Big Willie is up, walking up to, now, smack the snot out of Chris Rock. Some egregious, grandiose, this wildly, I would say, sick action. And see, there's the sickness part of it, the wellness part of it, see? Because they fuel each other's toxicity. She, a good woman, if she saw that he was getting upset, could have just squashed it. Stop, baby. No, not here. Not now. But instead, not only did she not stop him, I think she sent him. Now, maybe it was just with this. That was all. But imagine the power that must mean she has. To send him from laughing to striking this man at the Oscars like that. And women, that thrills them, see? Because they want that. Some big guy that they can control and make do whatever they say. Buy me this. I want another man to sleep with. Bring Mary J. No, don't bring her. I don't want her now. Go knock the snot out of the guy up there. He said something about my head. She didn't want to stop him, Jada. Later, when he was up there snotting and crying about God sent him here to be a vessel for love. Huh? Mental. While he was doing that, they kept cutting to her in the audience, and he's like, love makes you do crazy things. And she's like, yes, Renfield, yes. This is correct. What kind of bizarro world do they have? But I don't want to know, really. Stop talking about it. Stop talking about it. So, there's this dependency thing they got, see? Okay. And so with that, we get approval seeking. And that's another reason. And I'll give you the full rundown. I'm going through them one by one, but I'll give you the full rundown. That's another reason, that approval seeking, you see. He needs to convince her that he's the man she needs him to be, whatever that means. Does it mean go do something outlandish and ridiculous? Okay, I'll do it. Does it mean allow her to engage in all sorts of promiscuous and wild and out behavior? Okay, she can do it. Does it mean that you have no control over your household? Hey, I don't know. I'm not there. I just see what you're showing me from the outside looking in. Dysfunctional is kind. So he's seeking her approval. See, I'm the man. I am the, not, all that stuff about Pac. I am the man that you need me to be. You see, he put out a tweet, Will Smith did, that, hey, he can't take Philly and Baltimore nowhere, I guess. It's funny, see? To them, it's a joke. You saw him, Bad Marriage for Life? Okay, great. But that don't mean you got to take other people down with you. So he becomes the attack dog. A lot of guys are like, he's not the only one now. A lot of men are like this. You know, for that gash, the men will do a lot of things for a woman. A lot of guys you find in the penitentiary are there because of something they were doing regarding a woman, see? Maybe she had another guy and this, that, and the other thing, okay? Maybe Will Smith is really mad at Alcina. Is that his name? But he strikes Chris Rock. Little guy, making a little funny joke. I'll show him. Marred this man's career and his life. He's got kids. He's got parents. And so that's the disrespect of it, you see. And then, yet another reason. Alpha aggression, signaling. You know, scent marking. I'm the big dog. This is, I have to make a show of someone, usually someone weaker. You know, I have to make an example of this person. So all the rest of you won't try it, see? And so it's all there. And what ties it all together? The slave mind, the slave mentality. And this is why, as I alluded to earlier, he would have never even thought about getting up to strike Ricky Gervais or to strike Jerry Seinfeld or to strike any of the white comedians, Bill Burr, any of them, Bill Maher, any of them. The slave mind is alive and well in the black community. See, this is something that isn't talked about. You're not supposed to talk about it. That's the whole thing with critical race theory. That's their new way of phrasing it. Don't talk about it. Don't ask, don't tell. Can't talk about what happened. Shh. What are you talking about? Shh. Don't. It's real. You can't brutalize a people that long. You can't sell their children that long. You can't torment them, terrorize them, forcibly hold them down, breed them to be subservient for generations, centuries. You can't do that and not expect that there will be casualties, psychic consequences, repercussions, psychologically, culturally, socially. Oh, why you gotta go there? Why you bring that up? Why not? See, I was with you until you start. Hear me out, because I'm winding it up. If you don't believe me, just look around at the evidence. What other group of people refers to themselves every chance they get by a racial epithet? I'll wait. Name another one. Every chance they get. It's insane. Slave mentality. It's in every stand-up comedy routine by black comedians. Chris Rock is guilty of it. Dave Chappelle, Mooney, all of them. Richard Pryor, who is widely accepted as the greatest of all time, I believe so. Even Richard Pryor, the greatest of all time himself, tried to tell them, stop it. He said, I've seen the light. I was wrong. We are not that. That's their thing. You know what the N-word is? It's a synonym for slave. That's all it is. It means you're subhuman. It means I'm better than you. I'm your owner. You're a beast to be used for burdens of the field and sexual pleasure. You're worthless in the sight of God and man. And so generation after generation, this is burned into the psyche of African Americans by virtue of this word. And now, today, in 2022, you got black people who can't speak a sentence without saying it. About themselves, about their children, their father, about anybody. Everybody. Nobody. The word is seared into who they are. That's the slave mind, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. And I don't mean to digress here. And I have an old video, maybe I'll link it, about this. But if we don't respect ourselves, how do you think anyone else will? This is why in all of mainstream, by mainstream I mean white culture fiction, all of their films and movies and all these things, you'll find a steady stream of the N-word. I've been watching Winning Time. It's very well done. It's a lot of exaggerations and caricatures, but it's entertaining. But what I've noticed is that there is multiple usage of the N-word every episode. Every one. Everyone. And it's okay. Nobody minds. Nobody cares. It's part of the lexicon. Go by anybody, any black people playing music. White people, a lot of them now, a lot of everybody, Asian, whatever, Latino, Latinx, I don't know what you, whoever. You hear the music, the N-word is repeated. That Kanye West and Jamie Foxx song, they made a hook out of it. And black people have been defending it for generations. Tupac kept trying to use we put an A on ours and theirs is the ER. And now I hear Sniff Bayless repeating that. And Shannon, Big Buck Huck agreeing with him. Yeah. No, but see, they refer to themselves, Shannon Sharp has said, as the N-word, you see? So it's not just the gutter guys, the jailbirds, the ones on the street at the bottom of the barrel in poverty. No, it's a lot of rich people, black people. They love it. The N-word is their friend. That's who they are. And so in my mind, I imagine the slave owners looking from hell and at least feeling comfort to know that their slaves' children are still referring to themselves as that. More than ever. They sing about it, dance about it, tell jokes about it. Have you noticed? Cat Williams, when he does a set, he'll do white people do this. Oh, but the N-words, he'll make these comparisons where you give one group the respect of white people and the other group, your group, you call them slaves. Worse, you call them the N-word. That's worse than slave. I know I digressed, but my point is, if you don't have respect for yourself, and so part of slave culture is the diminishing of every black man. No black man is really worth a damn. So you can get away, if you kill a black man, you can get away with it. A lot of people in the hood have killed black people. They look around, was it you? Okay, well, we'll find them later. We'll get them eventually. Anybody know anything? Case closed. You kill a white person now, they're going to find you. And if they don't, they're going to find somebody that is close enough to you to pass for you. Okay? But somebody's going to pay for it. The value of life differential in America has always been distinguished along the color line. And so black people understand this inherently on a fundamental level. And so Will Smith, no matter if he was 6'6", and no matter if George Clooney or Gervais was 5'5", he will never walk up to them and smack them no matter what they said. He's going to giggle and laugh because he knows better. And he's not going to do it to anybody that could give it to him back. And so it was a perfect storm for Chris Rock because Will Smith has misplaced aggression because he's been angry for a while now with his woman and circumstances. And it's like, damn, I'm the richest, most powerful, I'm a bad man, and I still got to carry all this pain around. But you won't heal it by striking out at someone else. I have to heal from within. So there are dual lessons there. I've seen women, Tiffany, Haddish, and then Molly Q, that one. Mm-hmm. Both of them pretty much outright just endorsed the violence, that they didn't see any problem with it. And Haddish, for her point, she said it made her feel warm and fuzzy and glorious inside to see that. See? But these are the things, see, that we're dealing with now when we talk about the black community. And so no, there were no winners now. They both lost, but Will Smith needs to lose more. And so I strongly encourage Chris Rock, sue the hell out of him now. Go Tiger. Okay? You don't get a chance to go Tiger, but you can get a chance to go Paper Tiger. So do that. At least do that. Smith wanted to prove something to the world. Wanted to prove it to Jada. Wanted to prove it, maybe more than anybody else, to himself. That he'd go up and Big Willie him in the biggest scenario. And Chris Rock, back again like a fourth grader facing his bully after all these years. I don't know what it is with the rappers and the comedians lately. You know, like Kanye, he trying to send people to pull up on DL. Right? But then on the other hand, it's not really just like, comedians and rappers. It's when it comes to the black community, rappers and rappers, right? Comedians and comedians. Athletes and it's black men versus black men. No matter what level we get to, there's a disdain there, a disrespect. There's an inherent sort of undervaluing. That's unfortunate. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this brings me to the conclusion, the 6 reasons why Will Smith smacked the shit out of Chris Rock. And those 6 reasons are scapegoating, misplaced aggression, bullying, approval seeking, that attack dog syndrome, alpha aggression, signaling and scent marking, mental illness, because there's a sickness there, and I'm not a doctor, but I have played one on TV. And then finally, number 6, slave mind, still alive, well and prevalent in the black community after all these years. So look, throw me one of these, okay? Subscribe now if you haven't already. And until next time, and there will be a next time sometime soon. I told you we were going to touch on some different topics outside of the sports world. And I still got some sports content coming for you. I got one coming on the lake because I'm baking it up now. So stay tuned for that. But in the meanwhile, throw me one of these now. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And leave me a comment. Do you see my point? Do you agree, disagree? Let me know what you think. And until the next time, one love.